today we are going to talk about, so today's the topic we need to talk about lipogenesis. Okay, this is, we have done 3 classes. Okay, in these 3 classes we have done this. In first classes we did the classification, chemistry, everything, and then general overview of the lipid. And then second classes we completed this including disorder, and this is present in outer leaflet. So we have done that. Phospholipid, up to now we have done phospholipid in these classes, and phospholipid, defect of everything we did. Now in this section we will talk about the synthesis of fatty acid and this fatty acid incorporation here. Actually we are talking about this simple lipid indirectly, because all lipids have fatty acid. Actually this here is also fatty acid, here also fatty acid, here also. So we are going to first talk about this fatty acid part, how fatty acid is synthesized, and then we will see how this, we will also see the incorporation of this fatty acid into this triglyceride. We have already studied how glycerol is synthesized from glucose. So we will do this. In other words, we will actually talk about the synthesis of this lipid. We will talk about synthesis of lipid. That is what is called lipogenesis. So we will talk about lipogenesis. In lipogenesis, the major part is fatty acid synthesis. That is why we'll talk about fatty acid synthesis major part. So this is our, you can see we have done these 3 classes. This is our 4th classes. So lipogenesis, fatty acid synthesis is the 4th class. In this, we are going to talk about context and introduction. What is the context to when lipid synthesis happens? We will talk about this. Without context, if you read text without context, it is useless. So that is why we need a context to study a text. So we will talk about context and then introduction. We will do introduction, general introduction. We will take over general introduction. Then we will go into detail of the fatty acid synthesis. The fatty acid synthesis in our body synthesized is palmitic acid. I have been telling you what is palmitic acid. Palmitic acid is nothing but 16 carbon compound. So I have been telling palmitic acid as 16 carbon compound. This is palmitic acid. So now let's see this. After this palmitic acid, we will talk about this FAS, means fatty acid synthesis. We will talk about the regulation of fatty acid synthesis after synthesis of palmitic acid. Now this palmitic acid is fatty acid. Our body does not only require palmitic acid, our body requires higher fatty acid also. So higher fatty acid is synthesized through chain elongation. Okay, this is the primary fatty acid, then higher fatty acid is synthesized through chain elongation. This process is called post synthesis modification. So chain elongation. Our body also require unsaturated fatty acid. So unsaturated fatty acid is synthesized through this. There are a bunch of enzymes, few enzymes are there, 4 enzymes are there. These are called desaturase enzyme. So from palmitic acid, this can be this desaturation, other fatty acid from palmitic acid, and there is something called essential fatty acid. From this desaturation happens, and then we will get unsaturated fatty acid. At last, we have already studied the glycerol synthesis, this fatty acid incorporation into glycerol. We will talk about fatty acid incorporation of the glucose. So this is the content and this is the objective we are going to talk today about. Okay. So understand, first is fatty acid we will introduce, then we will talk about fatty acid synthesis. We will do regulation, then we will do post-synthetic modification. Just remember this content. Okay. So let's say, so that you will not lose the track. Why I am putting here? To be in track, so that you will not lose the track. What happens? You forget what you have studied. At the topic you forget. I don't want you to forget at least topic. Remember topic, what you have studied till now. And then, so we are going to talk in detail about this today. Fatty acid today, and then how it is incorporated. So we have already seen this. I have started from this and end with this slide. Okay. So you can see we have in the beginning only I told you this glucose produce this part, and glucose also produce this part. So this part we have already done. So glucose produce this triglyceride. What is from what? Dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Glucose from this triglyceride. And then glucose from this, how? From acetyl coenzyme A. We will today, our topic is to talk how glucose produce this fatty acid, how glucose converts into this fatty acid. We will talk about that. And because of this overeating, this fatty acid will be deposited. Overeating will cause high insulinemia in body. Because of that, fatty acid this triglyceride is deposited in adipose tissue and people become fat. Okay, this is the cause of obesity. Overeating is one of the cause of. There are genetic condition also. You can see Angelman syndrome in this imprinting condition. You must have studied in genetics. So there is second is Prader-Willi is strongly linked with obesity. So you can go and see that these are genetic condition. So I will be talking about lifestyle related condition. Normally how people get obese. Normally how people get obese because of overeating. So you will study. So you already know palmitic acid is the major component of this, and then stearic acid is second major. These two are, and then oleic acid is major component of unsaturated fatty acid.